Go. And
Howdy,
we're live.
everybody.
Howdy, everybody. We got a few already.
What are you doing? I couldn't help it, had to.
So, go through here. Texas Raiders celebrating Farm Life. Jovita. Oops, helps if I can scroll on the right side here. So, glad you all made it in here. To Eric, Tima, and Paul.
Tima.
So
Almost 30 years. You think you can spell, and it's a little bitty short name.
Yeah, but in my defense, though, the N and the M
right
are
together.
right next to each other. And I was doing
Right
the phone.
Right
I had the
there.
wrong glasses on.
Oh, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just call her Tima from now on, though.
Oh, it's better than some of the other things you call me sometimes.
Yep.
Better be nice, huh?
So
how is everybody? Everybody survived the cold?
I don't think
it's
we
currently-
got the worst of it yet. They say it's going to be cold tomorrow.
Mhm.
Well, yesterday was 55 degrees, and we stood out there and froze. That wind was cold.
I cut firewood all day yesterday.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to. We was out when we was splitting wood, and then after we stopped, went into the shop for a couple minutes to do something, and once we got out of the wind, it wasn't horrible. Now today, it actually sent it out in the sun. If it wasn't the wind wasn't blowing, it didn't sound too,
The sun felt good.
feel half bad. If I could talk here, but up here on the ridge, that wind sucks.
Yeah. I went to try to make a visit over
Bowen.
in Miami, and I didn't catch the person I was needing to go see, but I have opportunity when I'm over that way with my pickup to get me some diesel for the farm because they sell off-road at a certain place over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over and pumped me 50-gallon off-road in. I couldn't stand to stand outside. And I had been out in it all morning off and on in the truck and in the skid loader and feeding cows. Looky there. There's Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hey,
There's
Dan.
Evelyn.
And Evelyn and Scotty.
Welcome in, y'all. I don't know how many of the Facebook groups you post over here, if it may have been shared over on any groups over on your side, but somebody up in Newton County, just off of AA, posted a 90s model crew cab Ford pickup hauling butt out of a people's property that's in there cutting
walnut trees.
Still walnut trees.
The guy that I seen that posted that was Nick Bradford. And it was a black short bed, like a short bed, 4-door, Ford, leaving, dragging a chain even.
Yep.
And they had been on his mom's place. Well, he lives off a AA highway.
Mm-hmm.
And so does she.
You got Bowen confused there.
Yeah.
Tima. I'm not sure.
She'll answer about anything.
Call me whatever. Just don't call me late for dinner.
There you go.
But, I was reading through one of the other groups where it had been shared to and everything, and, lady posted. Of course, a lot of people don't realize, what she's like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. It's just trees. I'm like, you get a good sized walnut, that's several thousands of dollars. Because I had to get into it with the deputy one time because we had some people call people stealing walnut trees off their property. And Missouri, it's a felony theft is $750, I think.
Yeah.
It used to be $500.
It used to be $500, but now it's $750.
Now I had to explain to her. I said, one tree could be $2,000 to $3,000 worth just in slabs alone.
It's like no way.
A lot of people don't get on that is when somebody goes in and steals it. It actually qualifies as what they call a timber trespass. It doesn't matter if they stole it because they accidentally got on the wrong side of the fence cutting or what. Mm-hmm. They call it a timber trespass. And it is 3 times the value of the tree is what they can sue the person that took it for. Yeah. They don't have the tree.
Yep.
They don't have the tree. So what they do is they measure the log and figure out how tall the trees around it were. And figure that the log was at least that tall, and none of them grow that way. So you get 3 times that amount, which is
Jennifer and Tiffany. We're missing people coming in. Sorry, guys.
I see Skid. I need to do something here. I see
Uh-oh.
Skittles and glitter there. And today in the mail, I got this from
Big Five.
there. And it is a Christmas card
Woohoo!
from Jennifer Ocean Homestead. And it has a package of tomato seeds in it.
Sweet.
Thank you,
Cool.
Jennifer.
I got
And-
something in the mail today too.
Yeah.
And she even gave me a discount code so I could order seeds at Rainbow
Awesome.
Seeds cheap, or have a discount on it at least with her code at rainbowseeds.ca.
Hey, fisherman, welcome in.
Oh, and notice how it's sparkly. He made it
Of course.
glittery. Yeah.
Nice.
If I had some Skittles.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well,
Evelyn's got some bad news to share. I think I already know what it is. We seen it a little bit earlier, but if you want to go ahead.
yep. Yeah, Evelyn, feel free. And
You can spill beans in the comments too.
Yeah. Well,
Good
it's
beans.
bad news, so yeah.
Bad beans, burnt beans, it doesn't matter. It'll be all right.
Gotta get going. It won't get done.
so while she's typing that out, Tina, I'm sorry, I'm not tagging individually. I'm a little sad at the moment. We understand, Evelyn. So,
Would you all be all right if I just stopped and prayed for Evelyn?
nope, go ahead.
All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we pray for our sister Evelyn. She's dealing with a loss. And Father, we just pray that you'd comfort her at this time and be with her and her family. And Father, that you'd give them the strength and courage to face tomorrow. And Father, I just pray that you'd give them the hope that each one of us have, that we're not done in this life until we see you. And Lord, I pray that you just deal her a special measure of peace today. Lord, we're just trusting in you for these things, and we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Definitely be keeping y'all in our prayers, Evelyn. That's tough. So,
And I know she picked the sparkliest card she could. Sparkly.
yeah.
When you can dump the glitter out of the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
Jennifer, actually, yours is the very first Christmas card I received this year. So
Now that's on
won it.
top of things.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You ahead of the game.
Yep.
Mhm.
Tina, she got.
I got one.
Dale and Nanny. Let me bigify her here.
I don't need big a fight. I'm big enough. I got a new T-shirt in the mail. Actually, I didn't win it. My son Jamie did, but yeah, he said I get to have it.
It took forever just from coming from Kansas to get here. The way the post office is working, so
yeah.
Well, I'm kind of surprised you got your Christmas card
in the
this
month after Christmas. Come all the
You've
way
been
from
ready
Canada.
for-
Especially from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because post office has been bad about getting packages sent out. I got downloaded their app, and it took I don't think it even showed up in their app that it was being shipped until yesterday. It finally
Kept asking him every day, "Did you get the mail? Did you get the mail? Did anything come for me?" Other than bills, but yeah.
Sent mail in October. The strike ruined mail. Yep.
Yep.
Well, you got that, and then down here they're just slow. So
Very.
I think our local guy, we have we had our mailman retire, and they replaced him with 3 different people so far, and haven't found one that can stick with it. And it hasn't been a year, I don't think.
see, our problem is that once it gets to the Knoll post office, we don't have too much of an issue. It's they'll hit Kansas City, and then they can't decide if it's going where to go to. Sometimes it goes Springfield, and it goes back to Kansas City, then it goes back to Springfield, then it goes. Then eventually it'll hit Knoll, and then we finally get it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't remember who I was watching. They was waiting on a package or something that had made it to distribution center half an hour from them, and they had been receiving things from that company and was still waiting on that one package 10 days later after it said it had made it to that receiving station. So
now, where you're at, does yours come out of the Kansas City distribution, or does it hit Tulsa and then come
Oklahoma City or Tulsa?
over? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you mailed me something, it'd probably go to Jefferson City or Kansas City, and then to Tulsa or Oklahoma City, and then to Quapaw, which makes no sense. But
yeah,
that's how it is.
Girl I work with, she's waiting on something, and it hit Kansas City. Been up there, and normally it goes from Kansas City, then it should come down and hit Anderson where she's at. And nope, it rattled around up in Kansas City for a day or two. And the next thing you know, it's in Springfield, and she's like, now it's hitting. Just says your package is arriving late, and I ain't got a clue where it's at. So
you may or may not have a package,
right?
Amazon's been bad too. The last couple packages, I got some clamps, corner clamps, and ordered a set back in December.
Yes, before Christmas.
Yeah, before Christmas. And it was coming up out of Texas, and whatever Texas distribution center, I think Dallas, if I remember correctly, it left there, and they just said, your package is arriving late. So I said, the heck with it. Ordered a new set, canceled that one, and it got up to Kansas, to Lenexa, or not Lenexa, Kansas. It got up to Liberty, Missouri, for whatever weird reason. And then it was supposed to go from there to Joplin, and somewhere it got delayed. Of course, that was right there when we got all the snow and stuff. So I was like, well, great. But it finally showed up a couple days ago. Yeah. Day before yesterday. So, hello from Miami,
I bet they're nice and warm.
Yeah. Welcome in.
I was going to say, we have a balmy 26 degrees here in Missouri.
Hi, Rick.
Yeah.
Like I said, usually in January, 55 feels great. Not so much yesterday. I don't know why that wind was so cold when it was 55 degrees outside.
Well, at least this is a normal January, though. It's not like we had when we had the ice storm, or a couple of years later when we had the tornadoes and when it was 70 degrees outside. Of course, I wasn't complaining about the 70 degrees, but the tornadoes weren't no fun in January.
Yeah. Thunder snow.
Thunder snow, right?
Yep.
Thunder snow or thunder sleet. That's always wonderful stuff.
Says, I just got a condolence card in the mail for my dog since the beginning of November. Just got it in the middle of January. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's crazy how.
Yeah. I guess the mail thinks that we got everything by email and everything, and they don't have to hurry anymore.
Well, I don't. One of the replacement mailmen we've had, I swear, he gathered it all up in his car and wouldn't stop until he had a box full at my box. And then he'd have so much junk, he'd cram it in there, and you couldn't get the door shut.
Just getting the utility bill for November. Oh, wow.
Or they just put 3 things out and put a rubber band between or around them. There'd be 2 boxes and 1 card, and it'd be a Christmas card, and then throw it out at the gate up there, and then Sam would go christen it. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm. What's bad is ours is either it's late, or because we got the wood box on the front porch there, and so you'd think they put packages or something like that, especially when they see dogs running loose or something. No, they'll just put it right there on the porch, and then the dogs wind up getting a hold of it.
Like, oh, look, a new toy.
Shredding it.
All of us need a chicken coop like Johnny's got that holds mail infinitely.
I keep telling him we need to build a package box so they can put it in, but we ain't got there yet.
Yeah, well,
I've been thinking the same thing, but we've gotten a new guy, and I don't know if he'll even bring the stuff to the house. But we have had the guy we had that retired. He knew everybody because he had been custodian at school, and there's hardly anybody that don't wind up having to go there once in a while. And he grew up and lived in Quapaw forever, and so it was just one of those things. Just about everybody knew him, and he would, if he had a package for us, he would bring it up here, and you know how far off the road my house is. But you can't see it from the road, and he would bring it up here and put it on my grill on the porch. And I'd had him call me several times and say, "I've got meds for your mom and dad, but they have to be signed for." And he'd stop by here and I'd write their name.
Hey, Troy, hey, Joe, welcome in.
Hi, Joe, fix it for you.
Glad you're here. Yeah, Dad's got up on his farm, which he don't live there. He's just got the old farmstead, and then he's got the shop there and cattle.
He goes to the shop about every day.
Yeah, he might as well live there. But anyway, he built a box there out in front of the shop for packages and stuff. That way, which he don't have any dogs running loose or anything like that. But it was a nice, secure place. And then the delivery driver didn't even have to hardly get out of their truck. They can just stick
And the
it right in
packages
there.
stayed dry in the bad weather.
And he had a FedEx driver bring him something up, and he got out of the truck in the pouring down rain, walked up to the shop, and just sat right there in front of the shop door, and then walked back to his truck and got in and got turned around and left. And he's like, he goes, he could have put it right there, because he parked right there by the package box that he's got. It's up on the pedestal and everything, nice and covered. He could have literally just opened up the door and just stuck the package in there, and he wouldn't hardly gotten wet. He goes, but by the time he got to the farm, the packages, there was, no plastic on it, no trash bag, nothing wrapped in around it, just sitting there right there in the rain. He said he had a meeting to go to that day, and it got canceled. So luckily he got there, but it was still soaked by the time he got to the farm and was able to get it and put it inside. And the bad thing is, I think it was a Christmas present for somebody or something that you didn't really want wet.
Yeah, I can see that. But hey, we all not blessed with as much gray matter as some people have.
They get a neon flashing sign to put on top of it.
He does have signs. His packages right on there.
Right? But it didn't flash bright enough.
Yeah. Maybe. It
needed
some light on there.
Needed some sparkles on it.
There we go.
Make it sparkly and add some neon lights to it and everything.
I like sparkles.
I know you like sparkles. You're sparkly.
I tried.
Neon sign with an arrow pointing over there. Packages here. People would pull in and they're like, "No, I want a package." Okay.
Yep. From a pleasure meeting her, but
late. You're never late. You come into one of these, you're right on time.
Exactly. We're just glad to have you here.
Yepers.
Used to run with the guy, some that was at Swartzberry Baptist Church, and he was the head of our. He was the head of our crew on the Volunteer Christian Builders crew, and he would always tell us when we was end of the day, he's like, "We're right on schedule." Right on schedule. He didn't have no schedule. He didn't have one, We're right on schedule.
There's Rebecca. Howdy.
I said hi to Rebecca earlier.
I'm slow. You know this.
Rick says, I made an LED address for my mailbox.
Cool.
Yeah.
I said hi to Rebecca, but it sounded like this. Hi, everybody in the chat. You're in that, everybody.
Uh-huh.
Hey, neat think. I didn't even get my hat. I got a hat Rebecca made me last year. I could have had that on my ears yesterday out there cutting wood. It would have been a lot warmer.
Mm-hmm.
Next one.
Next one.
Or tomorrow when we're finishing splitting the wood.
I was inside cutting wood.
Lucky.
I didn't even have to have my heater on yesterday. Today, totally different story.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think I got a ghost in my old firewood truck. Freedom's got a ghost or something in it because the turn signals don't always work. And you do the constant Chevy thing. You wiggle the key a little bit, on and off. It's got to be a switching problem. And Nita's riding with me, and she said, "Well, it makes you think it's a switching problem." I said, "Look at the heater. The heater fan on that one has a 4-position turn switch. and it has negative down here, which I'd assume that is slow, and plus up here,
Mm-hmm.
and then 2 positions in between those. And I had it all the way on the plus. It's not running at all, but you click it over to the negative, it runs full speed.
Yep.
Switching problem.
I was gonna say I had an old 77 F-150 with the sliding controller on it, and of course, and you have to have it when you want it full blast. You couldn't go just full blast because there was a short in there somewhere, so you'd have to like back it off, get it just in the right spot, and hope you don't hit a big bump, and then you get it to go good. Sparkles, but it's into the clear acrylic. It's quite beautiful.
I know you guys seen the white Chevy that I drove to Tin Killer, and it was probably sitting there last time he was at my house. I sold that to my youngest son, Dakota, and I sold it for about half of what I gave for it because I knew what it was. Didn't know what it was. And sometimes you'd get in that thing and start it up and go a ways, and everything on the dash just go dead. Everything, nothing worked in the dash, and you could give it a good thump right there on the dash, and everything would just come back.
It's like the old TVs.
Or a jukebox. The first time it did it to me, I was almost to Baxter. I think I actually noticed it when I was waiting in line at the elevator at the co-op to get some feed in a gravity box I had on a trailer. And I'm like, I'm afraid to shut it off at that point because I don't know if when that happens, the alternator charges. I don't know. And I can't remember how much gas it's got. And so I'm like, And I drove it home, and then when I shut it off at home, I started it again. Everything come right back on. And
that old 77, the dash lights in it quit. So I was like, the heck with this, because I got tired of not being able to see how fast I was going, or at the time the gas gauge still worked in it. And so I got tired of not being able to see how much gas or anything. So I took a tag light and I zip tied it to the steering column, and I took some aluminum foil on the backside to kind of help reflect the light up on there. Worked great. I could see all my gauges and everything. So, but that's the same truck when I bought it because it had the old cab lights on it, marker lights on top of the cab that never worked for the longest time. And I was driving from my home when I was still living at home in Joplin or west of Joplin when we was going to Monette working on a job site, and just out of nowhere, those marker lights decided to start working. And I kid you not, because the hood of my truck just started kind of with this orange glow. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm sticking my head out. I'm leaning up, sticking my head out, looking up. I'm thinking the aliens are coming after me. I pull over on the shoulder and get out, thinking I'm getting ready to get abducted here or something. And I look up, and yeah, my marker lights are working. I'm like, well, I'm just standing there on the shoulder side of I-44 looking up these marker lights on my truck like it's the neatest thing you ever saw.
Oh, goodness.
Was that you? Was that you that got deducted by aliens? I was reading that on Facebook a while ago.
They'd bring him back.
Yeah, they bring me back.
No, he wasn't abducted. He was deducted.
Deducted.
The 2 aliens were at their CPA, and they said, he says, "Oh, you got a human? That's a deduction."
Foothills of Appalachia, welcome in. Yeah, it was quite comical. Of course, that same truck though too, it had the inline fuel filter on it, and it get clogged up every now and again. So I had it down to an art where I always kept a pair of pliers in the truck, and I could jump out and pull the hose clamps off of it, grab that fuel filter, turn around, blow the gunk out of it, put it back in there. And I was down the road, and I was coming back from, I think, Springfield, and it was pouring down rain, and that thing decided to clog up on me. It's great. So I pulled over, threw my hazards on.
Hey, there's Johnny.
Because I was right in between the Main Street Joplin exit and the Schifferdecker Joplin exit, and pulled over. Was out doing that, and just as I was pulling everything, a park trooper pulled up behind me. He goes, "Everything all right?" Told him what he's doing. He's like, "Good." He goes, "I'm going back in the car. It's wet out here."
What that old dog meant? The battery cables. I'd have to stop and scrub the battery cables because the lights would start blinking and stuff, and that's not good at night.
On an '88 Chevy, one ton, fuel filter, you had to wrench it on and off, and it was in the frame, kind of underneath the door. Oh, I laid down in a parking lot at a gas station in Wagner, Oklahoma, and changed that on my way to Fort Smith to the livestock show. And all of a sudden, nobody wanted to ride with me. What their problem was, just because I'd been laying underneath that, and you take a fuel line apart that's above you on the frame, guess what? That stupid thing, what it would do is you could go 50, but you couldn't go 5. I mean, it would let you go as fast as it could get fuel through there, but that was about it. And so you never knew till you got on the road really going somewhere. And I was going down there toward Fort Smith to that livestock show, probably pulling a trailer with a bunch of gear and cattle and stuff in it, and traveling with all my FFA people and all that. And all of a sudden, I can't keep up with them. I caught them stopped, and I'm like, I got to change that fuel filter. Yep, nobody wanted to ride with me after that.
Yeah, well,
like gas.
When bought not the tractor you bought off of me, but the parts ones that's sitting up at her cousin's house, probably still, if they haven't pitched it, but that old D14 Alice Chalmers, I went and picked, Dad and I went and got it over in Nevada, Oklahoma, if I remember correctly. And we was coming back and pulling up to a stop sign, and I went to hit the brakes, and I had no brakes. I looked at Dad, and all of a sudden I just reached out and I started hitting the emergency brake with my left foot. And Dad's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I have no brakes on my truck." Well, luckily I'd slowed down enough to where I was able to stop, and there's a gas station right there on the corner. So I limped it up to the stop sign, and was able to get pulled into the parking lot there at the gas station, got pulled over. And on the back driver's side tire, the brake line, the little clip that holds it in place, broke, and that brake line was right up against the wheel. So went in and asked the lady there, I was like, "Is there a mechanic shop or a parts store here in town?" She goes, "No." She goes, "There's a mechanic shop over in the far west of town." So we was like, okay. So I disconnected the trailer, limped it over to that mechanic shop, and showed what it had. And all he had, he goes, "I don't have the parts here." He goes, "I can order them from Baxter." He goes, "It'll take a couple days to get here, though." I'm like, "Well, I don't have 2 days to get here." So he hooked up a clamp that they use for checking brake lines and stuff, and clamped that brake line off. He goes, "I wouldn't pull that tractor back." I was like, "No." I said, "We'll just limp it back to Joplin, get my dad's truck, come back and get the trailer." So that's what we did, is we ran back to his house, dropped my truck off, got back in his truck, drove back, hooked up the trailer, and then hauled it back to his house. Well, actually, I think we went ahead and took the tractor down to Seneca and dropped it off.
I don't remember. All I know is y'all had a long day that day.
And so this was a Thursday, and I worked that weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Because the mechanic's like, he goes, "As long as you can have that clamp back to me by Monday," he goes, "because I got 2 brake jobs I need to do that are already scheduled. So I got to have that thing first thing Monday." And so I'm like, okay. So Sunday, when I got off work at 5 p.m., I drove back and dropped that clamp off. And I didn't get back that night till about 8 or 9 or so, I think, by the time I got back.
You can do that with a pair of vice grips.
Oh, now you're telling.
I didn't have any vice grips with me either.
My dad had actually made some pieces of brake line that would plug off, one where you could take a line loose and plug it off and be able to go ahead and go. We used to run a bunch of them old 2-ton trucks that had bed and hoists on them to get wood chips, planings, wood shavings, and sawdust from cabinet shops for bedding for chicken houses. And those things, whenever you go to having problems, it usually blow the seals out or cups out on a wheel cylinder. And it had 2 wheel cylinders per wheel. And you could take that loose on the outside of that and put one of them plugs in it and go ahead, and you'd have brakes to get on where you needed to go. But can't tell you how many times that We'd been really tempted to just smash one of them lines flat and put a pair of vice grips on it.
We
Just go. I mean, you got to get off the road.
mm-hmm.
You don't want to get somebody else hurt.
Yep. In high school, my dad had an old 1960 F-250 that he had parked back out in the pasture for years and years, and I finally talked him into let me fix it up and drive it. So one evening, had a couple buddies of mine. We was out there. We unbolted the seat for some reason. I don't remember what, but we took out all the glasses. A lot of the glasses busted out of it. So we got all the glass out. We unbolted the. Oh, I think we pulled the gas tank to clean it out because it was behind the back seat. So we pulled the seat out, pulled the gas tank out, got it cleaned out, put it back in there, put new fresh gas in. And Mom stepped out. She goes, "Hey, I need a jug of milk. You guys run down to the corner store and get a jug of milk." Well, we just got to where it would also start. So we was like, "Yeah, we'll just take this truck." So we just threw the seat in. We didn't even bolt it back down. And three of us jumped in the truck and drive down. And we're going down Cleveland there on the west side of Joplin. And I turned to make a turn go into down the street through the neighborhood. Well, when I hit the brakes, there was no brakes. And I may have been going just a tad bit too fast. Well, one of my buddies had his feet out on the dash of the truck, and I went to turn, and I jumped the curve and almost hit a duplex that they was building there on the corner, and that seat went forward, and he went out onto the hood of the truck. We got it back. I was able to throw it down in first and get it, and finally got it come to a stop, and we got everything resituated and everything, and then we went up to the corner store and back to the house again in granny gear. That way I didn't have to use the brakes because I could just tap on the clutch and slow it down enough, make my turn. But granny gear and them old things was slow.
Yeah. My dad equated slowing a diesel engine down on a tractor to having a Jake brake.
Mm-hmm.
So,
see, that's the old trick.
Let's just slow that motor down a bunch.
Well, that's the trick I learned to drive because when I was a little kid, I couldn't even reach the pedals. Dad would jump in and put the truck in granny gear, and it went just slow enough for him that he could walk beside it and pick up hay bales and throw in the back of the truck and then onto the trailer. All I'd have to do is just, when we got to the end of the pasture, turn it around and go down the next line, and he'd just sit there and throw hay on.
Who's Tima? Eric.
I learned to drive my dad's old 66 Chevy pickup that same way when I was about between 8 and 10, except it was feeding hay.
Mm-hmm.
He would use it to feed hay with, and he would put it in low gear, and get out. And I'd scoot over and drive. I couldn't reach the pedals. He didn't have to worry about me going too fast, but he'd get out and get in the back and flake square bales off to the cows. And that was how I learned to drive. Between that and the lawnmower, we had a riding lawnmower. First one we had a pull start. It didn't have electric start, and it had the rope coming out the dash. It still had a hood and everything, and it had the rope coming out the dash. I couldn't pull it, but I could mow. And so they set me up to mow, and we had our yard and Grandma's yard to both mow then. And yeah. That's good exercise. But when my dad got a newer truck, low gear was too fast in it, and he was a little bit older and couldn't get up in the back of it as quick, so he put it in low 4-wheel drive in low. That's how my oldest son learned to drive. I fed square bales out of the back of a 4-wheel drive pickup some, and he would get in and steer. First time we ever did that, the cows are up swamping the truck. They're everywhere around the truck. And I get on the back of it, and I probably didn't get 2 bales fed off from it. And he is just screaming hysterical. Ah! And I get off the back of the truck, and I walk up there to the door, and I just reach in and shut it off. And I said, "What is the matter?" He said, "I'm going to run over those cows." And I'm like, "At this speed, you ain't? They'll get out of the way." With it then, I said, "Well, just quit screaming and scoot over then." And by the time we got almost to the road where we were feeding at, he'd scooted back over and was steering again, keeping me from running into stuff. But my dad did that a lot by himself, so he wasn't too worried about me being steering bad, you know.
Right. Yeah, the only issue we ever had when I was driving that, of course, I press in on the clutch when I was making the tighter turns and stuff to help slow it down a little bit more. But Mom brought out a sack lunch for us, and we was doing lunch. We was going to go down by the little slough we got where we had a couple of shade trees. So, and it's down just a little bit of a hill. And Dad's like, okay, stop. Well, I'm pressing the clutch because that's the only pedal he told me to push at that time. So I had no clue what the brake or the gas pedal was at that time. He goes, hit the brake, and I hit the gas. And he goes, no, the one in the middle. And finally,
not the go.
He finally reaches over there and shoves his leg over there and hits the brake on it, stalls the truck out just before we go into the little slough, which, I mean, it was only 2 or 3 feet deep, but still big enough to where we got the truck stuck and had to get a tractor get pulled out. But yeah, he's like, okay, he goes, I guess we need to have a better driving lesson after lunch. So after lunch, I figured out clutch, brake, gas, and what gear does what and everything. So I finally learned how to actually drive the truck.
Hey, there's Ginger.
Hey,
Welcome in.
Um,
We had an old 66 flatbed Chevy that Dad put me in the driver's seat up on my knees and I would steer. And of course, I was about like your son. I start screaming when I get close to the tree line because I didn't know what to do. He's like, turn the wheel. Well, the hilltop, I just went along the hilltop and I thought, I'm going to fall off. Of course, I'm just a little bitty kid. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, first time I ever cut pond ice when Scott was with me, I got back in the truck and he said, and I don't know, he was 3 or 4. I said, "What'd you think of that?" And he said, "I was afraid you might get eat by a shark."
Goodness.
Yeah, well, anyway, the guy that actually started me off with this, I'll tell you a story and then I gotta go. I used to sell hay to him. His name's Lyndon McKibben. He lives down here towards Seneca. He used to live just past the Seneca Cemetery. Now he's moved down here just south of me, about 7 miles on the state line. But Lyndon would say, "Hey, I got a story for you." And sometimes I'd tell him a story when I'd see him. I
Hey,
say,
Cherokee girl.
seen him once at the co-op, and I told him a story, and then I didn't see him again for 6 months or a year. He looked at me and he said, "I got a lot of mileage out of that story you told me here a while back." But Lyndon is a cow man, a cow feeder. He used to contract to keep cattle for people from up north through the winter here, and they would ship him a bunch of cattle to put on ground he rented and stuff like that. And he told me he was feeding them, and he's set up to feed big round bales. He's got a truck with an unroller bed on it and everything, but he couldn't get any hay and was getting semi loads of big square bales from somewhere. So he'd have to get on the back of his truck and flake them off to feed the cows. And I guess he had a place rented right across the road from the big casino down at Wyandotte. And it had been frozen for several days. And he'd go in a gate right there, right off of 60 highway, and he drove off down in there. And it happened that day that he got way back to back and was headed toward the front of the place along the highway when he started feeding the hay off his truck. Well, he put it in low gear like that, and I imagine it was low 4-wheel drive. And he gets out and crawls up on the back of it and starts flaking this bale of hay off. Well, the truck runs over a big old frozen cow pile and it bucks him off. And he said, "I landed flat on my back." Now, Lyndon has been beat up really bad before. He used to be the guy who rode the horse at the stockyards to pin cattle away from the sale pavilion. And then he had a bull turn around on his horse one time, made his horse rear up, and it bucked him off, and he landed over a pipe gate there and broke his collarbone. I had seen him once when he had that cast on where he's like this with posts comes up and everything. And his truck bucked him off. And he
Oh.
said, that was humiliating. But the worst part was, what's going through my mind is that truck's going to hit the highway in a minute or two. I finally got back up on my feet and I'm hobbling around trying to run up to that truck. He said, I finally got to it and I just reached in there and shut the key off. And he said, I was out of breath, exhausted, and just leaned over in the seat. And he said, I heard a voice. He said, do you need help? I saw the whole thing. There was a guy sitting on the highway and pulled over.
Oh, goodness.
You know, the thing he was hoping was nobody seen it.
That's usually when everybody sees it, is when you don't want anybody to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Tima.
He couldn't even went back and fixed it for me when I told him, you spelled my name wrong.
Well, it's fixed on here now.
Now they're all still calling me Tima.
Is it
They
really?
can call you a lot of worse names. I can think of a couple right
I've
now.
been called a few worse anyway.
We might make you a cup.
I'm gonna have to do that from now on. Just start calling you Tima.
I won't answer. Well, wait, I don't now.
That old 66, I don't know if I said it or not, but we've still got that truck. My son's actually just done another motor transplant on it, trying to get it to run. And my granddad bought that when my dad was in the service, and the truck would have only been about a year old, been in our family ever since. My brother drove it for quite a while until he blowed the motor up in it and didn't want to deal with it. And, it's had a lot of motors through it. It was one of them ones that was a 3-speed on the column. It's just a half ton, but Dad kept burning the clutch up, so he changed the transmission, put a 4-speed out of a, I don't know, 50 Chevy 2-ton, something like that. Weird looking setup on the back of it. The U-joint is this wide on one side and this wide on the other.
Okay.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah.
But Scott's about to get it back to going. And I have my granddad, my Pop Case's first pickup he ever had. And it's in the barn. I need to get it out and do something with it. I had it painted up probably 15 years ago, and the guy put a newer motor and transmission in it. It was a 50 Power Glide motor in a 47 Chevy pickup. And it's a 3/4 ton. And the story behind it is my grandpa traded half a hog butchered for that truck, and the truck didn't have no motor in it. And he had to take the motor out of his car and put in that truck so he could have a pickup truck. It was the first one he ever had. I really don't know what years that would have been.
Yeah.
And that old 60 model that my dad's got, which it was my granddad's. One of these days, I'd like to get it fixed up before he decides to haul that thing off to the scrapyard. But it had the 280-something straight 6 in it originally, and then it blew, and he put a 300 straight 6 in that thing. And that thing, I mean, it pulled the house off its foundation, but it would about 40 miles an hour is about all that thing would do.
Them 300 Fords are a tough.
What's up, Gary?
Yeah, it would. You get about 40 miles an hour or more. Dad said he had that thing going 60 miles an hour one time, but he was going down a real steep hill, and he was pulling a heavy trailer, and he said that engine sounded like a rubber band about ready to bust. So he finally put it in neutral and coasted it the rest of the way down because he was worried he wasn't going to have a motor to pull it back up once he got to the bottom of the hill, go back up the other side.
So it was just a slow cruising truck.
It was a very slow cruising truck. He did not get that out on the highway and go fast.
Yeah.
You get out on 49 here, you get run over.
Well, it would hurt them more than that truck, though.
Yeah, no kidding. You could get run over on 49, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot. I had places to be. Sorry, Paul.
I had places to be too, but my truck wasn't all that fast. I just find it real cool that my son's even interested in fixing up something that my grandpa had, but he has that pickup, and he also has my grandpa's tractor, which is it's either a 51 or a 52 Farmall H, and my grandpa apparently bought that in like 54.
Yep.
And he actually was using it. He's got a setup at his sawmill that there's a big trough under the sawmill in the floor that has a chain conveyor in it that carries all the junk that falls in that trough out and puts it in a manure spreader so we can get rid of it. It's kind of a floor sweep type of thing. And he was spreading that stuff with that tractor and little manure spreader. And I don't know what happened, but it got hot and he apparently cracked the head. He had somebody else driving it. And now he's looking at doing a whole motor overhaul. Now he's having trouble finding the right head to go back on it. We had a parts tractor and they're different. Apparently they made a difference in the old ones and the newer ones. And the guy at the machine shop told him it wouldn't work. I don't know. I've known several really smart international harvester guys in my time. Most of them are no longer here to field questions for me.
Yeah, that's what it thinks about. Yeah, all that older equipment and everything, and all the guys that knew it top to bottom, back to front. So,
yeah. So it's left up to us guys to try to remember as much of that they spilled on us as we can. And
yeah, exactly.
Like my cousin, which you know him by George. We always called him Hansel, but yeah, he was our go-to tractor man. And so he's not here to ask anymore either. Which the parts tractor for the Alice Chalmer that we bought is over there.
Yeah.
One of these days we may have to just pick it up. We'll just take it over to him.
There you go.
Well,
so one of these days we need to come over and see your tractor museum. You know, we have time to see it.
I don't know what the holdup is. That guy that has it around and you all don't have time. Okay, I'm going to show you a picture of Fred's tractor that he bought from the guy you're talking about. And I want you to notice what's holding the loader up.
Oh.
There is I guess the hood wasn't in all that good a shape before. So there is a 3x4 oak post stuck across the hood holding the loader up.
Hey, it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. When he bought that thing, I thought he didn't give too terribly much money for it, but all the stuff he's had to fix on it, and it apparently is having more issues now. If you're going to use them, you get to work on them.
I wasn't sure how much Hansel actually used all them tractors. He just liked to collect them.
Yeah.
Well, we went up and because that's how I wound up buying that part. Going out and buying that what wound up being a parts tractor because we was going to buy an old Ford 8N from him, and he talked me out of it because
he didn't want to sell it.
No, he said, "Well, the PTO on that, the live PTO on that, and trying to going around with the hit corners and everything on these hills with that brush hog still going." Said it wasn't a good idea, death traps.
He did everything he could to talk us out of buying a tractor from him.
Yeah.
I have a Ford 8N, and I can tell you, if you had a 5-foot bush hog picked up with it, you don't have to worry about steering. You have to do that with the brakes. Have your front wheels off the ground. But the wicked part about them is you got to have the PTO turned on to run the 3-point up and down.
Yep.
And so on a bush hog, if you got the thing grounded out on the ground, you have to drive it forward, or you have to put the PTO in at least to get it to lift.
Like we was telling today, my dad never let us on the tractors or anything very much. Even my brother, even as him and as an adult, which my dad drove tractor and brush hog for a living, but out here brush hogging on these hills, he had gotten into an accident and the steering wheel come loose and he went in between the tractor and brush hog. Thankfully, it was in reverse, and of course, he crushed 3 vertebrae, and yeah, it was a bad deal. Of course, it could have been a whole lot worse, but yeah, he didn't let us kids drive the tractors or nothing. So, what little bit I've drove around here now is most I've ever drove a tractor.
Johnny says, "I have seen the tractor."
Yeah, we know.
Johnny has a video of my place that I had never even seen before.
Except one of these days, if we ever get caught up on stuff, which It's not looking promising.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll just take a day and go and yeah.
I hope the next endeavor that you jump into works much better, and at least
Mm-hmm.
maybe you'll. I don't know. Some things, whenever you do things like you're talking about doing, can be really, really rewarding. I live in a house that my son and I cut every piece of, except for the OSB board that's around the outside of it.
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
See?
it can be done.
Yep.
Yep. So,
Oh,
but yeah.
by the way, we never stopped production sawing while we were doing that. We made we made what we was normally selling every week, plus what we were
Right.
using on the house. So
Mm-hmm.
that would almost be like making it in your spare time after working a job, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's probably worse because never ends.
Okay.
So,
I'm
Mhm.
hoping mine's getting close. I'm hoping.
Wow, Dan, that's a pretty cool story. I don't have the gun. My dad still has the gun. I'm sorry, pew pew, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we ain't
Water
worried
gun.
about
We'll
it.
call it a water gun. It's a 22 caliber water gun, and it was a single shot water gun, which would be a really, really cool water gun, right? And it was a lever action, and I knew it was old, but I had no idea how old. And my dad told me he had learned to annihilate uh, birds that eat cow feed and chicken feed and stuff that
mm-hmm.
would uh, set in trees just outside the back of the old chicken house, and it was supposed to take bullets that were, or sorry, pew pews that were this long, but you had to shoot ones in it that were only this long, and it sounded like a cap gun. Cap
Mm-hmm.
pew. They're probably going to take this down when we're done, right? um, and so I was in Seneca at a pawn shop where the True Value is
Water
now,
gun's bigger than yours.
and there was a water gun just like my dad's, which was my grandpa's, hanging up over the gun or the pew pew case, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought, wow, what a cool water gun, right? And I got started talking to the guy about it, and I said, "What are you asking for that?" And he said, "I've been offered $500 and I turned it down." And
Oh
I'm like,
wow.
Seriously?
"Place where two fools met there?" No. Um, he said, "But look at this," and he hands me a copy of an advertisement that would have been in a newspaper from about the time the gun was, or the water gun was new, and you know what year it was 1907,
Oh
Oh
the year
wow.
goodness.
Oklahoma became a state, and they sold that water gun for $3.
It's a lot of money back then.
So I asked him if he'd take the $3 then, if he didn't want 500. Well, like, his
That's my
was a
dad's
little
old anvil.
nicer. The stock on Grandpa's water gun had been nailed back together several times and stuff like that, but it still was a very, very accurate water gun.
Mm-hmm.
And
Awesome.
yeah, I'm like, I had no idea how old the thing was, and I told my dad about it. I kind of doubt that your grandpa gave $3 for it.
Let's see, my
And
dad's
it's
got
hundreds of dollars worth of ammunition we've
Yeah.
shot.
my
Hmm.
dad's got an old Winchester and it's a pump action water gun but it'll only do the short 22 Freedom Seeds. I
That's
don't think it'll do the long one, but yeah, it's got the old heavy octagon barrel on it and everything else, and
yeah.
yeah,
This
that'll
one's a
get.
round barrel, but it's got really peculiar looking metal sights, and
Hmm.
the one on the end of the barrel must be half an inch tall, maybe three-quarters of an inch tall. It's really peculiar looking, and I know
Hmm.
why they're really peculiar looking after hearing my dad tell me the story finally. he brazed them back on when he'd messed up and broke it off on something.
Oh,
I don't know how he done it. He wouldn't tell me, but he said, "Don't break those off. They're hard to get back on right."
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that would be. Let's see. And then he's got the old 3030 Freedom Seed Popper lever action one.
Seed popper. We're just gonna come up with all kinds of new names tonight.
Well, you know, since
Well, the little 22 caliber turkey thumping water gun, I was really,
Like water
really
gun.
happy to hear that there was even another water gun around like it. And when I saw that one, I'm like, oh, I could have a pair of them. Turns out I couldn't. I couldn't.
Hey, if I got sprayed with the water gun outside now, it would be pretty bad. Be pretty cold.
Be the death of you if you
Right.
right. You got the death of pneumonia.
Brr.
guns are very sensitive.
Oh.
Hashtag water gun.
Yeah.
We're gonna yeah. You guys are gonna fire me. You're gonna quit giving me the link. I'm certain it's coming up.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that.
Nope. So
You're gonna need me one day to tell you what the dimensions of a header in a 2x6 wall is.
Maybe.
Just a prediction.
But yeah, it sucks that you got to come up with all these weird terms that describe something that.
Yeah. That's not sensitive.
Of course, it also makes it kind of fun too.
That's true.
Tina, throw that and just mix it up.
You call me Tina, not Tima.
Oh yeah, she identifies as Tima now.
Oh, I identify. Oh, goodness.
Not to be confused with her cousin Timu.
I'm sure they got more money than I do.
Did you
It's either that or Teeny.
I've been called it all my life, so yeah.
Did you see that deal the other day on Facebook that said that there was a Temu warehouse burned down in a certain place and that the damages
Was it
was
$3.87?
yeah, something like that, $53.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all I can think was, I bet it was a desk from IKEA that broke down and caused it.
Yep. Oh goodness, that's funny.
I seen the ad on something. I think it was a router table, the insert, and it was like $31. It's like I almost want to order that just to see what it would be like. But yeah,
It'll be this big.
I was like, I don't know how to order from TV.
Hey,
My friend Cindy in the office, she says, I order from them all the time. I was like, well, maybe I'll just have her order it for me and we'll just see what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Might do that.
Yep.
I do smaller projects. I could use a small table.
Well, and they do make little router tables for your trim routers and stuff like that are handy for some of your smaller stuff. But yeah, pickles, Paul.
No, I've read coffee.
Your pickles have to bounce.
Your pickles have to
What?
bounce.
What state was that in? It's a state that we were going over the weird state laws, and in some state I don't remember, the pickle doesn't bounce. Yeah, you get fined. And we're like, wait, what? Paul got his pickles out and they bounced. And then he had a green thumb.
Hey, if you just look
sleeping
over there
that
for
night.
just a second, Lynn the Okie says she's rolling on the floor with laughter. Mission accomplished. We got it done. Yay!
We do what we can.
Sweet tea.
Yeah, this is the first live he's got to be on this year.
Did you not do the normal one a couple weeks ago?
You had to work.
Oh, I was working. That's right. I
Yeah.
forgot. Yeah, so this is my first 2025.
First. He's on his first 25 live, and I got my first 25 Christmas. Hey!
Yep.
Look over there.
Hey, Rebecca.
Yeah, we wasn't even going to tell. We finally got monetized, and I hadn't even been able to tell much because Eric wasn't ever here.
Congratulations. Look at there. Rebecca's wearing her Gilligan shirt.
Right? I had my Gillums on last week. I think me and Jesse, which Jesse stole yours. So we wore Gillum Farms last week, and I got a 9-acre shirt this week. Just came in the mail today.
I'm advertising for the Ridge people.
The rich people.
Yes,
The Ridge
it's
people.
over there.
So he's gonna try to
Well,
pick my nose
when-
or something there for a second.
I wouldn't pick your nose, dear.
That's good.
I ain't got one of those Jesse and Lisa t-shirts, so when they go live, I can't wear their t-shirt.
Ooh.
Just
I don't
saying.
have Jesse and Lisa one.
I would bring that up in the comments a lot.
I ain't got one of them.
I'll tell you
The
what.
Wickles, that's the pickles he was talking about. I couldn't handle those.
Well, these say original pickle. I thought they said
They
original.
still
recipe.
got hot peppers on there, so I'm sure
they
they'd
do.
tear me up.
This one's hotter than the ones that say wicked pickles on them. I don't know if they planned it that way or not, but I think if a person had a cold and they drank a little bit of the juice off of
Woo.
these, that they would no longer be cold.
Yeah.
Nope, they wouldn't.
What?
Because
I'll
tell you what.
anytime
If you're
that I get
making
this,
an omelet and it needs perked up a little, just cut you up a couple of them pickles and throw in there.
Wow.
Oh, mama!
I can breathe.
anytime that my nose starts running, this is what I put on my food.
I have
I
a
like
friend
Tabasco.
he's a Tabasco freak, and he will order like anything he orders, he get a little salad to go along with it, and he'd have him put ranch dressing on it, and then he would paint it red with Tabasco. And I'm like, there's no way you can taste any of that. And he'd look at me and say, that Tabasco's really good today.
We had a lady that we used to work with, which her son is now our director, but she was Hispanic and she loved spicy food. And everybody found out real quick because she'd make her own ketchup and bring it in, and she'd write her name on it, so and so's ketchup. And but what she failed to write on there was hot.
Very.
And everybody would always go in there, and if they just had French fries or something, they'd always grab her ketchup because they knew it was homemade, and that would be the first and last time they would do it. Because
Yeah, she went to church with us, and they sold tamales after church, which they were great if you got the right ones and could breathe afterward. Woo-wee.
Look at that. Jennifer Ocean Homestead doesn't realize she's putting this on people's lives that's down in the States, and she still spells color with a U.
Allure.
Allure. Allure. I just have to give you trouble, Sparkles.
Well, it's kind of like that. Belt Loop 29 was saying, okay, I know Rebecca as the Yarn Ninja.
Yarn Ninja.
And then he put that in the chat. Rebecca's known as the Yarn Ninja. And then, of course, Jennifer says something else. And then she put it in. And I'm like, okay, fine. I just went LOL.
See, I always like the Tabasco, the Chipotle Tabasco.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. Which her stomach's gotten where a tomato will
I
tear it
used
up
to
even
like
more.
hot stuff, which I like hot stuff, but it hurts.
Don't like you.
But every time I made chili tacos, if it had ground up hamburger meat in it, I always put that Chipotle Tabasco in there, and it added some heat, but it wasn't as spicy as regular Tabasco is, but it really good flavor with it.
I always put it in my pasta salad.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
Del
really good
Rio,
pasta
they
salad.
keep the green Tabasco on the tables at Del Rio. You know where I'm talking about? Del Rio in Joplin. And if you'll just get one of their chips and put as much of that green stuff on it as you can and eat it 2 times, you will have to leave because your nose will be running. I don't know what.
What was the restaurant we went to that you all did the challenge?
Casa Montez.
Casa
Oh, yeah.
Montez.
They had I can't remember what they called it, burrito.
Was it the Sizzler? No.
I don't
Oh,
remember
it's
what
a
they
great
called it.
big thing, right?
It was extra hot.
It had habanero peppers ground up in with the hamburger meats, and then it had a big jalapeno sitting up on top. That jalapeno was the most mild thing on there. And if you could eat it all, you got your whole dinner for free.
Everybody's at the table.
So Abby, our oldest, she was maybe what? Because I don't think Jamie was even born yet, was she? But
I don't
anyway,
remember. That's
him
been
and
a
his
long
wife
time
and Tina and
ago.
I and then Abby went. We went up there, and he talked me into ordering. We each got one, and his wife leaned down and told Abby, "This is where you see two grown men act like juveniles," which never grown out of that, but that's a different story. But we ordered that, and they made you sign a waiver. And we're like, "Oh, they're just psyching you out. They're just psyching you out." You could smell it. I mean, 20 feet from you, and you could smell it coming. It's like, oh boy. And
They
put
couldn't
that
eat
right
it.
down on that plate, and it's like, oh boy. You bite into it, and like I said, you could see the jalapeno seeds or the habanero seeds mixed up in the hamburger meat. We took a bite, and yeah, that was it. We couldn't eat no more. I lost
You
my
brought it home and give it to my sister
her sister.
and didn't tell her.
Well, she liked hot stuff, and I had it. I think I put it in the freezer for some. No, I put it in the fridge. But anyway, yeah, I took it up there, and she took a bite of it, and she didn't even warm it up. And she took one bite, spit that out, and she started calling me every name you could. And I took off running, which
He's
I
like,
did leave her with the food.
See
though.
if I ever bring you anything again.
It was the Sizzler.
Yep, it was the Sizzler.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you got your name out on the sign. I think you got a shirt. You got your meal for free.
Yeah.
We did not get her meal.
We
for
didn't
free.
get
no
nothing.
shirt. I got a very
Well-
expensive burrito that I didn't get to eat.
The reason I came up was because I need to show Paul K something.
Paul Pickle Green.
Is that the right color green? I don't hear
Lose
you.
him?
Am I the color manager? Help!
Or is it the color manager?
Well, you said John Deere green, and I couldn't find any John Deere green. I found Patty green.
That's awful close. I would say that's really close to John Deere green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
Good.
See,
And
John
I erased your address from my phone.
Well,
Pickle Green.
Yeah.
Jovita got knocked out by an atomic hot wing.
you can
Oh.
email me.
I messaged you. Well, I did a friend request on Facebook.
Okay. I probably accepted it. But
And not yet.
If not, you can email me. It's casesawmill@gmail.
It's not at live.
No, that's the complaint line. The live one is the
Complaint
complaint
department.
line.
Ooh, your hands are cold.
But yeah,
Sorry.
everybody kept saying, yeah,
Is that
that's
cold hands,
close.
warm
But
heart?
Yeah.
that's about all I could find.
I've had John Deere green. I don't know. I like pickle green too. It'll match Paul's pickle shirt.
Well, around here, if it's green, we either spend it or mow it.
Uh-huh.
Just said I could
Mhm.
handle hot food when
Spicy.
I lived in Texas. Mexico chilies are a whole other ballgame. Ooh, they even sound hot. Yeah.
Yeah, we was in Tijuana several years ago, and me and
Several, like 7.
that's several.
That's
Is that in
Anyway,
Oklahoma?
me and another guy, there was a little restaurant there. You could just walk up, and there's like a window there along the sidewalk where we sat and ate and everything. We've been up there one night before, and they had their pico de gallo salsa stuff out there, and it didn't have any kick to it at all. Well, the next night we went out there, he got there before I did, and we had us a couple of barley pops, and he'd already ate, and I ordered my tacos, and I started putting the pico de gallo on there, and he's like, whoa, stop. I'm like, what? He goes, and they're all snickering in the back. And I took a bite of that first taco, and it's like, it lit me on fire. He goes, that's not the same.
not the same.
But that's the first place we tried tripe. we had,
Trippy.
yeah, we went on
Trippy.
the first time we was there and was looking, and we weren't smart enough to realize to flip the menu over. It was in English, so we're sitting there reading through there trying to figure out what's what and everything else. And he's like, "This trippy, is it what I'm thinking it is?" And they're all like, "Oh, trippy, good, trippy, good." He's like, "Is it what I'm thinking?" He's like, "Oh, it's good, it's good." And so they pulled some out, and oh, that was bad. It was not good. It was not good. But they sit there and make, if you want a flour tortilla or a corn tortilla, they had the meal there, and then they'd make it all fresh and everything, and it was really good food. You just had to be careful not to get the spicy nights. So
That would be nice if they put like a red thing on the thing that's hot. This is not, on that,
well, and that wasn't even on the menu. It was just, just sitting out right there on the counter and stuff. So you just dipped your fork in there and put it on your food and stuff. But yeah, the trip aid, which of course after we ate it, then one of the girls, she took the menu and flipped it over and pointed and said it's on the English side, and it was like, "Yep, try."
Oh.
It's like, yeah, we're dumb Americans. But we sit there and eat and just, drink our Bolly Pops and chit chat and everything else. And they're used to people just coming up to that window there and just ordering and going on their way. And we just sat there and so but the one night we was sitting there chit chatting, and this van jumps the curb because they didn't want to wait on traffic. And I guarantee, because the sidewalk itself was probably at least 12 feet wide. And we're sitting there. My arms won't reach that far. But jumps the curve and barely misses our back by just a couple inches, and just goes around the curb and everything else. And we're like sitting there looking, and one of the girls back there is like, "It's Mexico." Just like it's an everyday thing. So, yeah, it's a whole different world down there. That's for sure. It's definitely entertaining.
We had fun down there.
Yeah, people were nice and everything. Well, I stepped out of the hotel one night and I was having a cigarette. It had some guy, and there's another couple there. They's outside doing the same thing, and Hispanic kid comes up and he's asking me for something. I'm not quite figuring out what he's doing, and the husband's like, he's asking if you got any dope. I'm like, why would I? I was like, I'm an American in Mexico. If I was wanting that stuff, I'd be asking him for it. I was like, no, I just got, because I tried offering one of my cigarettes, and he's like, no. And
I'm going for a smile. If I ever get a smile, I'll quit. I got one. Yeah.
But
I couldn't remember what it was somebody said a while ago. What was it?
Show the hat. Jennifer wants to know if you can show the hat.
I will turn my camera off because it's over somewhere else. And I'll be back.
Okay.
But yeah, we was talking to some of them down there, and they can't even have a pocket knife with a blade longer. It has to fit, the whole blade has to fit all the way inside your, so it can't be no longer than, you can have if you have big hands, you can have a bigger knife, but if you got little bitty hands, you can only have
Little bitty knife.
Little bitty knife. That's how they measure it. I'm like, can't they not say, inches or something like that? He goes, nope, it's by the palm of your hand. I'm like, geez.
Trying to figure out where I need to. This is this iPad sitting on my lap. Trying to figure out what position do I need to put it at. Here it comes.
Let Bigify you here.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Let's see warm.
Wow, that's a hat now.
Yes, it is.
It looks warm.
Uh-huh.
That's her hat. Kind of
That's
when I was
awesome.
when I
Yeah.
was making this, I was like, oh my goodness, this thing looks like a garden,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
you know, looks like a garden. I'm kind of glad
Mhm.
that I didn't ship it today so she could absolutely see her beautiful green
Yeah.
hat. There you go,
I
Jennifer.
just seen Evelyn's comment. I'm a weenie. I just thought I could handle hot food when I lived in Texas. New Mexico hatch chilies was a whole other ball game. I remember the first time I seen somebody eating a habanero. I was doing construction. Was working at the old Mercantile Bank there at Fourth and Main in Joplin, and I was just an apprentice at the time. And I was working up on the second floor, and it took me a little bit to finish doing what I was doing before I went down for lunch. And I get down there, and one of the laborers is sitting there eating these little, orange peppers, and he's eating them like they're candy. And I'm like, "What is that?" And he goes, "Oh, it's a habanero." And I said, "Well, are they as hot as anything like a jalapeno?" He said, "Oh no, they're nothing like a jalapeno. You want to eat one?" I'm like, "Sure." And my first clue should have been when everybody's eyes just locked on me, just waiting. Of course, I was 18 years old and
Didn't know any better.
didn't know any better, or thought I knew everything. And he handed me that habanero, and I took one little bite, and I couldn't get to the water cooler fast enough. That
Yeah,
thing lit me on fire.
18, you think you know something, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And, and 30, you do know something, and you're doing it, and you're so busy. And then 50 or 60, you can't
It's like,
remember what it was once you knew. And Ed says 70, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
what kind of peppers did I have growing out in? Remember, I had the pepper plants growing in the tire, and Jessica was like 3. And we'd been out in the yard and stuff, and she went over and grabbed a hold of those, and I told her to leave them alone. And
He was growing jalapenos.
no, they weren't jalapenos. But then she rubbed her face. That kid's face swelled up, and she bawled and she screamed, and I ended up calling him at work because 911. But yeah, his coworker was an EMT or paramedic, maybe.
I think EMT.
But yeah, he said dip a rag in milk and lay on there because we'd tried everything, and that she just kept screaming and screaming, and it burned her. And yeah, so we got a rag and just laid on her face with milk on it, cold milk, and it went away. We went outside, and Jessica's rather hard headed, always has been. She did it
Oh,
again. It was like, really, kid?
Why do you think the I'm going to say kind of different Latinos drink horchata? Do you even know what horchata is?
Mm-mm.
It's rice milk with cinnamon in it.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
cools things
interesting.
down.
Yeah.
I don't remember what kind of.
well, that's some of my favorite corruption. I got everything. It's not real
I
hot.
haven't used too much of the Franks.
This is a little bit hotter.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. I like that too. That doesn't have as much of a vinegar taste as the
Right,
Tabasco does.
right. That's not quite as vinegary.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah,
don't
I've
even
done
have
that.
any Tabasco in my fridge. I don't know what kind of a weenie I am. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
used to always
I
keep the Chipotle Tabasco, but our local Walmart quit carrying it. Last time I got some, I think I ordered it off of Amazon. Um,
I got that Tabasco sauce from our pantry.
yeah,
You know,
our local Walmart, they'll carry the regular Tabasco and the green Tabasco, but they don't keep the Chipotle anymore.
Our local Walmart's weird.
Yeah,
They will carry the. Is
I
it
love
peppermint
Cholula.
mocha
Cholula is good too,
creamer?
Jovita.
Peppermint mocha creamer is my favorite. Which used to be you could only get it at Christmas time. But I drink, I don't drink all the sugar stuff. I like the 0 sugar. You can get it at Christmas time, but no other time of the year. But you can get the regular all year long. And then it's even hard to find it at Christmas now.
Mm-hmm. They carried it quite a bit this year, but they
Last year they didn't have it at all.
No, they didn't. I had to go to Bella Vista the last couple times last year when I went and got it for you.
There was
So-
Right.
my best friend in high school went to boot camp the summer after we graduated, and then he and I lived together in my grandma's house. I guess the whole time almost that we were in college, 2 years, and he came home with a bunch of them MREs, and
Mhm.
in every one of them MREs they put a little bottle of Tabasco, just
Little bitty one.
Mhm.
little bitty things. I'm like, is there enough in? And it was the first time I'd ever even had any of it. Is there enough in one of them to make anything hot? Oh yes, there is. Yeah, I'm not used to any of that kind of stuff. There's plenty of it in there to make them hot.
Whoops.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What happened? Where were you
Light went
guys
out.
when the light went out? I was in the dark.
Couch in the dark with you.
Oh my gosh! Don't touch me.
I sent a text message back to a friend that called me, so that's why I was looking over there typing.
I try not to do that when I'm preaching. Really inconvenient. And half the time or better, whoever's trying to call me or text me while I'm preaching knows that I'd be in church about that time. I don't understand how that works. They're like, we didn't know if you'd get the signal. Figured you had your phone turned down. I'm like, don't know me very well, do you?
So
How does the eye come out of color? That's what the question keeps coming up, but I don't know.
I was wondering that too.
I don't know what it's correcting. She says autocorrect keeps correcting it. How did the
Is it
U
supposed to be
come
the
out?
U instead of I?
that's what I'm thinking. It's
I think the
U
U was a French thing because there's some other words that they use in Canada.
well, England also uses U in color and
Oh no, I've never been to England.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah,
other one?
there's
I've
a couple
seen it
words
on.
that they.
I've seen it on some of Paul Honeyman's stuff when he.
Has
Mhm.
anybody seen him lately?
Yeah, he was on Johnny and Christine's Thursday night.
Yes, he was.
Maybe he was
Oh,
on.
yeah.
the other night.
He may have been on Lauren and Joel's last night too.
I didn't make it into theirs last night, but I was gonna say I was on Johnny and Christine's the other night, and I didn't. Of course,
I
forgetful.
was on Grace and Fires today and heard some information, but I don't know if it. You want me to put it out in?
Was
live
it
chat?
Lila?
Yes,
Yes.
We
Yeah,
know about it.
I heard that on her live. I did not know.
I said they were gonna. She said
Hey,
that was
Janae.
tonight. Was it at 9:00? They was gonna make an announcement about that.
I missed that.
Yeah,
I
it was
gonna
in
say
our.
you were
chat.
texting Dale, and Dale told you, and then about that time I seen it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I might have been on Facebook, but I was in Marketplace, and I can get lost in that Marketplace on Facebook. And I'm
I
like,
could if I had
why am
money.
I even looking at this stuff? It's 4 states away. I ain't going halfway across my state to look at something.
what was it when we was looking for that brush hog? When we was looking and found something that was a nice brush hog, and it wound up being way off out of the middle, or
That
it's like
didn't
3 or
work.
4 states away somewhere. So
Jesse, quit messing with stuff. Your parents are on live.
Jamie, I think our son is.
It's the boy doing it this time
It's
instead of the girl.
James. Straighten
He's
up, or
got
we're going to
earplugs
feed
in,
you
he's not paying
Louisiana
no
hot
attention.
sauce.
Oh, he would eat it. He would say, "Can I drink this?" It ain't gonna work.
Guess we're having some
Hey,
technical.
wait a minute.
issues.
Does that mean the time's up?
It may.
He put 4 more quarters in.
There
I
we
know
go.
that Johnny put that they're going live early tonight
They're
Oh,
going to go at 7.
at 7.
Okay.
He
Well,
was in here earlier. We should have asked him. Didn't even think about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and.
I was gonna say we're probably gonna call her quits early, everybody can have a potty break, and we can grab some supper, and we'll be ready
What?
for chilling with the Gillums.
Yep.
When you put an H in it, it
Yes.
doesn't look like water, Janae.
What are you doing?
Hey, look, there's
Looking
Joy-filled
at you
Janae.
that color.
Me and Janae's
Hi,
just like peas
Janae.
and carrots, always together.
So, but yeah, I think we will go ahead and just wrap
Yeah,
it up.
Since
And
we're in the dark,
yeah, so we
I
can
can
figure out
smooch
our
him in the dark.
lights anyway. And give everybody a potty break and dinner break and get ready for Johnny and Christine. So, yeah.
Their live was pretty good the other night. I like the old pictures everybody showing. That was really good.
Yep. So,
Oh, yeah?
everybody.
Did you see any incriminating evidence in there?
Maybe.
I might take a picture later and post somewhere of a girl's picture that's on my wall that I found out she is also on the wall of the guy that cuts trees for me, because the picture comes in the picture frame when you get it.
Ah.
Speaking of in the picture frame,
Just decided to join the rest of the world. So, but yeah, we'll get off of here because we need to kick up something for dinner real quick. And
we ain't decided yet. We'll have to talk with our new associate there about it, whether we're going to be live next Saturday or not. He's pointing at something.
There's the announcement. Evelyn says they're going to make a announcement about Randy, Julie, and Tom and Rhonda are going live tonight at 9.
okay. So
That's whose Facebook I seen it on.
okay. So yeah, everybody pay attention to that. And oh, hey,
Hey,
Sean,
there's
Sean, I
Sean.
didn't even see you in here, buddy.
Hi, Sean.
Hey,
yeah,
you guys ever watch any of Sean's stuff?
yeah.
Yes.
Kelly was messing around and he's sanding the ceiling, and she's using this sander thing on his back. I'm like, I need to have her talk to Anita. I think that would be just a ticket right there.
There's Heaven's Fire 18 popped
Yeah,
in.
late but howdy.
We're just glad you're here. Like I said, we're getting ready to go, but it was nice to see you.
There's nobody late. It's just some tuned in ahead of others.
Right?
Exactly. So, yeah. Everybody, yeah, I think we are going to cut out of here. So, everybody make sure to get over to Johnny Christine here about a half hour.
Ready,
And
run to the bathroom, grab you a snack, kick back, and get ready.
yep. So, Paul, Rebecca, thanks for coming in, guys.
Not a problem.
Appreciate it. Everybody that in the chat, thank you all so much. We love you all.
Thank you very much.
And
And remember, everybody, prayers for Lila.
yes, please. So, all right, we'll catch y'all on the flip flop now. Bye bye now.
Stay warm.
Bye.